Hello and welcome back to another lecture on syntax. In today's class we discuss binding theory. Now binding theory is probably one of the most interesting theories you can come across in syntax, especially at the beginner level. Now the binding theory is concerned with describing the conditions on the structural relations between nouns. So there are three types of nouns we're going to look at. The first type is called R expressions. The second type is called pronouns. And the third type is called anaphors. Now there's a reason that there are three types here, and that is because not only do they differ semantically in what they can refer to, but they also differ in their syntactic distribution. Examples of R expressions are like proper names and common nouns. Examples of pronouns are like he or she or it, one or them or him, and so on and so forth. Now an anaphor is a pronoun with the suffix self, as in himself, herself, itself, themselves, and so on and so forth. Now out of these three types, only one of them gets its meaning by referring to an actual object or person in the real world, and that is the R expression. So this gets its meaning by referring to an entity in the world. Now a pronoun, on the other hand, gets its meaning by either referring to something in the sentence or to something already mentioned in the context. For example, John said that he is tired. He refers back to something in the same sentence, which is John. But also it could get its meaning from the previous sentence or the context of discourse, as in, John is my friend. He said that he is tired. He said that he was tired. Okay? So in this case, the he here does not refer to something in the same sentence, but actually to something previously mentioned in the topic of discourse. Now an anaphor differs in that it has to mention, or it has to be there to refer to something within the same sentence. So we could say John saw himself. Himself refers to John, which is in the sentence. We could also say he saw himself. Himself also refers to something in the same sentence. And notice that it can refer back to an R expression or a pronoun, so long as we're in the same sentence. Take for example the two sentences, John is my friend, please give the book to himself. This sentence is ungrammatical. That is because himself needs to refer back to something in the same sentence. But in this case, the only thing it can try to refer back to is outside in another sentence or in the context. Therefore, the sentence is ungrammatical. Now, we've been using the word something to refer to what a pronoun refers back to and what an anaphor refers back to. We said an anaphor refers to something and a pronoun refers to something. Now what is this something? This something is what we call the antecedent. And an antecedent is a noun phrase that gives its meaning to an anaphor or a pronoun. For example, John hit himself, and John said that he was tired. Now in this anaphor here, the meaning of this anaphor comes from John. So John is the antecedent. Same thing here. The pronoun gets its meaning from John. Therefore John is the antecedent. Likewise, John and Mary saw themselves on TV. Themselves refers back to the noun phrase John and Mary. Therefore, this noun phrase is the antecedent. How about in this sentence? Bob told Mary that he was tired. What does he refer back to? Where does he get its meaning from? Well, going backwards now, we can see two potential noun phrases that he can refer back to. Mary is a noun phrase. Bob is also a noun phrase. So how do we know which one he refers back to? Does he refer back to Mary, or does he refer back to Bob? The way we make sure we got the right antecedent is by a process known as indexing or indexation. And basically what this means is that we give each noun phrase an index or a code, let's say. So for example, Bob is a noun phrase. Let's give it a code or an index, which is I. We use a small letter I. Mary is also a noun phrase. Let's give it the index K. Now he is the noun phrase that is looking for an antecedent. What do you think? Which one should he refer to? Which one should he go back to get its meaning? Should it go back to Bob or Mary? Of course the correct answer is Bob. So we give he an index just like Bob. So as you notice here, he gets the I index just like Bob. That way we can be sure that he refers only back to Bob and does not refer to Mary. So that's the process known as indexation. How about in this sentence? John and his best friend said that they are here. What does the NP pronoun they refer back to? Let's see. This is an NP, John. We could give it the index I. And we always start our indexation with the small letter I and then work down the alphabet. So the next one would be J, K, L, M, N, O, and all the way down to Z. So if John was I, then his best friend, as another NP, would be J. And now there's one more NP here, because if you recall, in our lecture on constituency, we said that only things that are alike can be coordinated together. Therefore, we already know that this is an NP and this is an NP, and that they all form one bigger NP. So let's also give this big NP an index as well. Now, what does they refer back to? Does it refer back to John? Does it refer back to his best friend? Or does it refer back to John and his best friend? Well, it refers to John and his best friend, the big NP. Therefore, we give the NP they the index that should match with it, which is K. That way, we make sure that they refers back to the big NP, John and his best friend. How about in this sentence? Mary's mother saw herself on TV. What does the anaphor herself refer back to? Well, Mary could be given the index I, but then there's Mary's mother. So Mary's mother could be given the index J. What does herself refer back to? Does it refer back to Mary? It can't refer back to the mother because we don't know which mother we're talking about. We are talking about Mary's mother. So we take the whole bigger NP, the one indexed by J. That is the actual correct meaning we're looking for. It is Mary's mother that saw herself, not Mary. So we give it the index J as well. Now the question is it possible to get the meaning where herself means Mary instead of Mary's mother? Are we free to change up these indexations? Try this out. John told Bob that he needs to see a doctor. Okay. Now we can label the NP John with I. We can label the NP Bob with J. And now what do we label the NP he with? Notice that we can label he with the same index as Bob, and the sentence still works. So John told Bob that he, meaning Bob, needs to see a doctor. However, we can also do something else. We can give he the index I, so that now it refers back to John. So it would say John told Bob that he, meaning John, needs to see a doctor. Now the question is, can we do the same thing here in this first sentence? Do we have that freedom of choosing between more than one antecedent? Let's try. If we change this to I to refer only to Mary, will it work? Mary's mother saw herself on TV. If this is the indexation we're looking for, then the sentence sounds very ungrammatical. So if you notice, The wrong indexation could lead to an ungrammatical sentence. But why is it that here we had the freedom to choose between antecedents, but in the first sentence we don't have that freedom? The answer comes from binding principle. That's going to be our topic for the next lecture. See you there.